All elite performers are busy, but none of them are overwhelmed. This video is about the specific two-step protocol that will help our client follow to remove overwhelm at the root. So if right now you feel like you have so many things to do that you cannot think clearly, you can notice your stress is piling up and you don't know how to deal with it, your nervous system is getting compromised, this video is going to help you eliminate overwhelm at the root so you can effectively move forward. Welcome back. My name is Castillo, founder of Selfmastered. We systematize the art and science of peak performance to help you scale with peak focus, clarity, discipline, and self-belief. Before we dive deeper into the video, remember to like and subscribe so you never miss out on any of the juicy stuff that we're sending your way every single week. So this video is about overwhelm, which is one of the things that we help our clients with that pretty much all of them say they are suffering from when we start working together, and after a few weeks, we eliminate it from their lives. Even though their to-do list keeps climbing, they keep doing more things, they keep tackling more ambitious goals, but their relationship with overwhelm radically changes. In order to make this happen, we need to understand how the mind and the nervous system work in presence of stress, because eventually everything boils down to your capacity to handle the stress of the entrepreneurial life. In fact, as Keith Rabois, the investor that used to work in PayPal and now is a partner at Founders Fund, said, the limits of your success is the limit of your stress management. So if you get really good at managing the stresses of your life, you will achieve great things in your life. So the first step is to understand that, above all, overwhelm is a choice. It is a label that you decide to put on a specific reality. But it is not something that exists before you label it. What you label as overwhelm is just the piling up of stressors, some real, some imagined, some psychological, some physiological, that are compromising your ability to focus and staying calm and collected. But the reality of it all is that overwhelm as such does not exist. It's just a collection of stresses that you need to deal with. So the first step is to understand the role the mind is playing when assessing that reality. For instance, if you understand what I always say in this channel, that reality is neutral. It is our interpretation of what happens to us, what drives our psychological response, and therefore our behavior. You understand that if you carefully identify all of the stresses, all of the demands on your attention, all of the things you feel you need to do, and how is your relationship with them, you have a chance of reframing what they mean to you. And this is a core skill of elite performers, reframing, which is based on psychological flexibility, which is the technical term. In essence, what it tells us is the ability to reassess your understanding of a specific situation in order to move forward, to find new avenues for personal and professional growth. So, for instance, now there's research that proves that some emotions are created by the same neural circuits in the brain, and you can even switch in between emotions if they are close enough in that neural network. And a very good example of this is fear and excitement. Both fear and excitement are created by the same neural channel in the brain, and through reframing, by changing your mind about the feeling that you are, feeling when you let's say that you have to talk in public or do something that scares you, you can transform fear into excitement. So the way to start diminishing the negative label of overwhelm is try to reframe every negative stressor under a positive light. You have so much to do. It's not because you're disorganized or things are just crashing down. It's because you have the opportunity to excel, the opportunity to be grateful about the work that you're doing. In essence, the ability to reframe the negative things that are popping into your mind, the automatic negative thoughts, into it counter positives. And this is a core skill of elite performers. This is a process that takes a little bit of time, but through mindful identification of those automatic thoughts, you eventually become able to do the transition automatically. Now, this is not positive thinking like most people will discuss it. This is about letting go of the negative stuff and choosing the positive stuff. right? So it is one step removed from just paying attention to your positive thoughts. It is understanding what is the underlying meaning of those automatic negative thinking patterns and trying to let go of that base feeling. So back to this example of public speaking. If I'm about to jump on stage and I'm fearful that I'm going to make a mistake, which is a core fear of most humans, I can try to unpack what that negative feeling is trying to tell me, which is basically I'm operating outside of my comfort zone, and relabel it so that meaning disappears forever. In a sense that every time I'm faced with a public speaking engagement, I just feel that rush, I turn it into excitement, and I create a psychological label that states that that excitement is a proof that I'm consistently striving to become the most elite entrepreneur I could ever be, right? This is how you do it. This is called transmutation in Navy SEAL speak, or psychological flexibility in the psychological literature. So that is step number one, but this is not enough. Step number two is understanding the limits of your physiology, because you have a nervous system that may not be well primed enough for the demands that it is subject to. Maybe you're not resting enough. Maybe you're not meditating enough. Maybe you haven't really dialed in breathwork protocols to regulate your stress response. Your overall health of the nervous system sets the physiological limits of that stress response. So what I'm trying to say is that the mind is not so powerful that it can override your physiological base. No, there's a limit to what the mind can accomplish. If you're totally exhausted, burnout, you haven't slept in 3 days, there's not much cognitive reframing or perspective shifting that you can do in order to turn a negative into a positive. There is a limit to the physiology. So in this case, what you want to look into is map out every specific active recovery protocol. We call an active recovery protocol those protocols that help you remove stress from your day-to-day and allow the natural healing response of your body to operate. And this can be anything from meditation, walks, sauna, cold plunge. There's a lot of active recovery protocols that we help our clients do that eventually prime your nervous system for incredible performance, right? So there's two sides of eliminating overwhelm at the root. First is understanding that overwhelm is a label that you choose to assign to a specific reality over which you have control over, and your goal is to eliminate the automatic negative thinking patterns that tell you that what you're going through is overwhelm and it is negative. And instead, you may be going through excitement. You may be going through the opportunity of finally shining bright, the opportunity of delivering outstanding work. Whatever you choose to believe is what's going to eventually become your reality. And two, prime your nervous system so that over time, your physiological capacity to deal with stress is increased. Think about the elite football player that takes the penalty on the last minute of the World Cup. Imagine how prime his physiology has to be to sustain the psychological pressure of not missing the core defining moment of the World Cup. Imagine how strong the nervous system has to be to deal with that decision effectively after 120 minutes in the field. This is how you need to see yourself as an elite athlete that is consistently striving to become the absolute best version of yourself. So this is a two-step protocol that we use with our clients. It really works. First, tackle the psychology because it is the fastest, and then over time, train that nervous system to have more and more control over your response, because you are always in control of your responses. Of course, there's more things that you could do, but out of respect of your clients, we cannot share everything on the channel, but this is in essence what I would recommend that you start with. And of course, see you in the next video.